6 steps for resolving conflict biblically. Is anybody ready to get on the bus? Anybody ready to get on the bus? Yeah? Anybody ready for that? Anybody to go out and slay some conflicts, baby? Let's do it. Number one, you make the first move. Pastor, can we go to number 2 real quick? You want to be a mature adult emotionally? You make the first move. Let's go to Matthew 5. I want you to check out something that Jesus says here. By the way, you make the first move means you don't wait for the other person to make the first move, even if you think or believe wholeheartedly that it's all their fault. Look what Jesus says in Matthew 5, verse 23. Jesus says, hey, if you're coming to church, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there, remember that your brother or sister has something against you. Pause. It's not even that you remember that you have something against somebody. It's that you remember that somebody has something against you. Jesus says, leave your offering there in front of the altar at the temple. But first, when? First, go and be reconciled to them. Then come and worship. Then come and give your offering to give to the Lord. Do you see this? Conflict resolution is so important to God that he says, hey, I love when you worship me, but it's your worship is so much better when you don't got that junk in your heart. So leave your offering at the altar, take the first step, make the first move. Emotionally mature adults don't make excuses, don't delay, and don't remain passive. I'm staying quiet and I'm a peacemaker. False peace. You ain't doing nothing to fix it. And honestly, sometimes we can have conflicts for weeks, for months. Come on, say it, even years. And we're so stubborn that we find ways to justify ourselves and think that we're right in not confronting conflict. Do you know the Bible says that conflict has the potential to block our fellowship with God? Don't look for it right here on the screens. 1 John 4:20. Check this out. 1 John 4:20. Whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister, which just means another person, is a liar. Pastor, take it easy. It's not me. It's the word. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. And we see a connection between the vertical relationship with God and our horizontal relationships with each other. It's the cross. And the Bible says here, don't say you love God when you hate him. Don't say that you love God when you treat her with such contempt. Don't even try. You're deceiving yourselves. I got an interesting word for the husbands. Any husbands in the house? Any husbands in the house? Who? I'm with you. 1 Peter 3:7. Check this out. This is important. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives. Come on, ladies, say, be considerate. Tell them, be considerate. Treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. What? Your prayers can be hindered when you ain't right with your wife. I'm preaching to you and I'm preaching at me because I got a wife. Did you know that your prayers can be hindered when you are not loving and respecting and cherishing your wife, who is the weaker vessel in the sense of she's more delicate? And it doesn't mean that she's more weak. It just means that she's more fragile. You know, there's all kinds of conflict, but marital conflict is real. Anybody know what I mean? Real. Yeah. You know, something that we've discovered, we talk about this a lot here. Something we've discovered is that in every marriage, there is a turtle and a skunk. Every marriage. A skunk is a person that when they're in conflict or hurt or upset, they stink up the place, and everybody knows. Everybody knows. The turtle is that when conflict comes, gets in the shell and hides. And every once in a while peeks out to see what's going on and sees a skunk and hides again. And you know what the crazy thing is? That turtles love to marry skunks. And skunks love to marry turtles. All I can say in my marriage, I'm not the skunk. But as we have learned, my wife and I, neither one of those approaches brings true reconciliation and conflict resolution. Because both of them are the wrong response. Fight or flight, skunk or turtle. And so when I get in my shot, it's funny because I'm a skunk in every other relationship, but just in that one, I'm a turtle. I don't know why. It's the devil. But you know who's more mature? The one who takes the first step. The one who takes the first step. And so here's what I recommend. This might be a good little thing to put in your phone or somewhere you're taking notes. Plan a peace conference. Come on, write it down. It's a good one. At least pretend so I feel like you're doing something. Right? Plan a peace conference. Some of your marriages, by the way, need a peace conference. Some of you need a peace conference with your kids or with your parents. Some of you need a peace conference with a friend. Plan a peace conference. My wife and I needed one about a week and a half ago. I'm telling you, it could break the ice. Like when you're mad, mad at each other, be like, yo, I'd like to have a peace conference with you. It's like, what time? I'm free. Because we all want peace. We're just not all willing to take the first step. So here's 3 things to keep in mind when you plan a peace conference. Timing is important. So make sure it's the right time. Don't do, if the moment is tense and things are, like if there's chancletas flying, like that's not the moment to say, I'm requesting your presence at a peace conference. Like, timing is important. Secondly, practice before you meet. In other words, calm down, pray, prepare your heart so you can come. Thirdly, meet with the right heart and attitude. Because if you come with the right heart and attitude, that's already going to help set up a win and peace. All right? Number 2, 6 steps for biblical conflict resolution, practical biblical principles. Number 2, start with what's your fault. Start with what's your fault. Don't sit down and be like, okay, welcome to the peace conference. Now, you did this and you did that. You messed up, right? No. If you're an emotional adult, you start with your part. You start with your contribution. And you may feel that 99.7% is that person's fault, but we're all human, and you can always find something that I recognize my contribution to this conflict, and I want to just start with this. I didn't have the best attitude, or the words I used were poor, or I know that I hurt you. I took too long. Whatever it is, you start with what's your fault because you want to focus on the issue, not on the person. Okay? So James 4 gives us some good insight on why all these things happen because sometimes we don't even know where it comes from. And James 4 verse 1, it says, what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war with it? They're inside of you. You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them, yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. It all starts inside. Conflict. It's hard, but we'd rather run away from it sometimes than resolve it. Can I just say, the number one excuse of couples headed towards divorce, you know what it is? We are incompatible. So, incompatibility is a myth made up by divorce attorneys. The honest statement would be, we are immature. Pastor, you're being abrupt. I'm being honest, and sometimes the truth hurts. This is not to bring condemnation, it's to help us in our current relationships. Is anybody with me? Got really quiet. So if I'm honest, it's not incompatibility, it's immaturity. Because you want to know why? Because find me 2 humans who are completely compatible. Impossible. I don't think it's possible for a person to be more different than me than just Lane. Honestly. Is there any spouse that feels the same way? There's nobody more different than me, than my wife. I mean, style, fashion. I mean, you could see, like, I'm on it, right? Flavors and like literally every time there's two. Okay, we'll try them. Which one do you like? I like this one. Like, oh, I like that one. Every single. We're just incompatible. Life is fun when you're different. But it's not fun when we're immature. And we stay immature. So let me leave you with this last line here on this point. Emotionally mature adults resolve conflicts rather than dissolve relationships. That's tweetable. Number 3. Is anybody learning anything? Is it helping anybody? Biblical principle. I didn't know I could learn. I didn't know the Bible had stuff I could use. Welcome to church. Welcome to Jesus. This is his word. This is his principles. 3, confess your blind spots. Confess your blind spots. Emotionally mature people can admit that they have blind spots. Hey, real quick. If you have blind spots, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yeah. If you didn't raise your hand, you should have raised both your legs too. A blind spot is a weakness in your life that you have a hard time seeing. Typically, it's easy to see other people's blind spots and hard to see my own blind spots. So I want you to catch a little bit of Hebrew humor. Matthew chapter 7. Jesus is kind of a funny guy because he was so on and spiritually an authority. I mean, he's God, but he was also like, he knew how to get to people and he knew how to say the right thing. In Matthew 7, look what Jesus says. He says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and you pay no attention to the plank in your own eye?" Anybody remember what Jesus did as a profession? What he did? He's a carpenter. He knows what he's talking about here. And it's kind of Hebrew sarcasm here. Verse 5, "You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Why does he say that? Because we are so quick to see other people's blind spots, and we don't even see the big fat one that we have. Isn't this so true? In conflicts, we tend to magnify what they did wrong, and we tend to minimize what I did wrong. And by the way, if you're like, "Pastor, I've been looking for weeks, and I can't find a blind spot in my life," all you got to do is sit down with anybody who knows you well and ask them, and they'll tell you all of your blind spots. Yeah? You can add that onto the list at Peace Conference. At the end, just be like, "Oh, by the way, fill me in." I want to touch on something here that's important. This is an important skill. Clarify expectations. This is kind of under this. Clarify expectations. Unmet expectations are the root of so many conflicts in our relationships, families, marriages, workplaces, and churches. Can I give you a few examples? Here's a few examples. Of course you're coming to the family event. We're important to you, aren't we? It's never happened to you? I never knew the job I have to work. I thought it was virtual. Come on. My adult son should know I need him to come over and fix all the things in my house. I shouldn't have to ask him. I'm so disillusioned. I expected that a good marriage just happened naturally because we just fall more in love every day. I'm the only one caring for my aging parents. My siblings expect me to do everything. If she really cared about me, she'd call me. In a good church, everyone should be friendly and supportive when someone is hurting. Okay, so we expect other people to know what we want when we haven't even said it. But here's the problems. Here's the problem with most expectations. Most expectations are unconscious, unrealistic, unspoken, and unagreed upon. Expectations are only valid when they have been mutually agreed upon. And I don't know about you, but I know the discomfort when other people have an expectation of me that I never agreed to. Has that ever happened to you? Oh, but I thought you were going to pay for it. Nobody told me anything. Like, do you see the problem there? And so, in order for expectations to be established, this is good for marriage, this is good for parents and kids, this is good for friendships. In order for expectations to be established, they must be conscious, realistic, spoken, and agreed upon. And so, if I'm the one of my siblings taking care of my aging parents, but I've never talked to my other siblings, and I just think they just expect me to do it all. But when did I have that talk? Now, I'm not saying it's right, but when did I have the talk? You guys just think I'm in charge. Oh, no, wait, what happened? I could help, but we never spoke. But you see, I didn't talk about it because I'm a peacemaker, and I want to keep everybody okay, but I want to ignore the conflict. But I'll just complain about it at home. So now my wife and my kids get mad at them too. Let's just multiply the conflict. Is anybody with me? Is anybody following me? Yeah. I interpret the silence as processing. Think of expectations you have of others. Think of the expectations they may have of you. Here's what you got to do. You know what you got to do? You got to sit down and talk about them. These are my expectations. That's another thing you could put in your peace conference. Put that one on there. Because there are some expectations that I have of my wife that sometimes they're in my head and in my heart, and I think she should know. But I haven't even talked about it, or expectations that she has. I didn't even know you could clean that part of the kitchen. I didn't even know that existed. This is a Discovery Channel moment for me, and she expected me to clean it, but for 3 years, I didn't even know that nook and cranny existed. Did you see what I'm saying? So she thought I was just doing it on purpose to get her mad, and I'm like, I didn't even know that place existed. That was a room in our house. I didn't even know that was there. I'm a man, right? Men are dumb, right? Right? Is anybody following? Anybody follow? Maybe it's just my house. I don't know. Number 4, seek to listen and understand the other person. Seek to listen to and understand the other person. Listening is a simple concept, and all of us would agree that listening is important for relationships to thrive, yet we're not all the best listeners. Check it out. When you're in conflict with someone and they feel like you're listening to them and trying to seek to understand them, their defense is going to go down and their heart's going to begin to soften. But if you're in conflict with someone and they don't feel like you're truly wanting to listen or understand them, their walls will be up and their heart will be locked. Are you with me? And it's the same thing with you. It's the same thing with us. If I don't feel like I'm being listened to or considered, can I give you a magic sentence? Can I give you a blessed sentence that might shift the atmosphere when you're in conflict with someone? Can I give it to you? Yes. Here it is. I'm sorry. Honestly, I wasn't listening to your perspective. Has that sentence ever been spoken? And this could shift the tone, the tension, the heart of a conflict. If you, and by the way, don't do it sarcastically and put me, like Pastor said, I gotta say this. Don't do that. Don't get me in a mess now. Sincerely in your heart, say, you know what? Honestly, I'm so sorry because I honestly wasn't listening to your perspective. But now, I'm listening and I'm trying to understand. And I think I can see. Do you see how that changes the tone of everything? Whew. Now, is that easy if I'm upset and I'm hurt by you? Maybe not, but we're talking about spiritual and emotional maturity. When that's said sincerely, it could de-escalate. That's a good word. How do we de-escalate the conflict and the tension? James 1 says that we should be quick to listen and slow to speak. It's interesting, God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. So we should be doing a little more listening than talking. Let me give you a little tip here in this section, final tip. Stop mind reading. I expected like 4 amens. Stop mind reading. A lot of times we fall in the trap of mind reading or making assumptions about the other person's intentions. When I am mind reading, I'm not checking out with you to see if what I'm thinking or feeling about you is true. And what this opens the door to is misunderstandings. So every time I make an assumption about someone who has hurt or disappointed me without confirming that assumption with the person, I may be believing a lie about this person in my head. And this assumption is a misrepresentation of reality, because if I haven't checked it with the other person, it's possible I'm believing something that's untrue, and maybe I'm passing on to other people something that's untrue about that person. And can I just say this? It is extremely frustrating. This is one, like, we all have our thing, right? For me, it is extremely frustrating when somebody assumes something about me that is untrue. This is a big one, like when Justin and I kind of like, when we have intense fellowship, right? And I say, honey, the worst thing, the thing that shuts me down, and I'm not saying it's right, when you make an assumption about my motives and it's wrong. Ooh, Jesus, come in. Anybody with me? And so in the same way, we all have triggers and buttons and things. So we got to learn that so we can help each other. Tell somebody next to you, stop mind reading. So what do? When you're in a situation like that and you're tempted to do that, ask for permission to say, hey, can I check with you something? Because I'm making an assumption, but I want to check to see if what I'm believing is true. When you did this and this, it makes me feel like this is what you believe. Am I right? And that person will confirm, yeah, you're right. Or, no, that's not at all. And then things get clarified. Do you see that? But we fall into a trap when we mind read. All right, number 5. You guys want 5 and 6? Maybe we should just stop it here. All right, 5. Wrap your truth in love. Wrap your truth in love. Ephesians 4, verse 15. Instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. In other words, now in this part of conflict resolution, when you're going to speak your truth, you're going to speak it, but you're going to speak it in love. It's how you say it, not just what you say. Well, Pastor, I'm just a straight shooter. Well, you're an unloving person then. So if you want to keep glorying yourself that you're a straight shooter, you're not going to help yourself or the conflict. You're just going to go further into conflict because you're not speaking the truth in love. The way I like to see it is, I like to call it a truth burrito, right? So take the conflict at Chipotle, right? Wrap it in love. Wrap it in a tortilla of love. I remember when I was a little younger, and I remember with our youth going to this, it was an event in downtown Miami, and it was kind of a city event. It wasn't specifically a Christian event, but I remember there was these people in a corner of a street. They looked, obviously I deduced that they were Christians because they have a big sign holding it up on the corner and shouting with a megaphone, and the big sign said, repent or go to hell. Okay? And then on the other side of the sign, that keep turning around, it said, believe in Jesus Christ, then you'll be saved, right? And so those two statements are actually true, but are they wrapped in love? When you stand on a corner and say, turn or burn, which some of us grew up in that kind of, I got the gift of evangelism. My gift is evangelism. Turn or burn, right? It's possible to say something that is true in an unloving way, and people are like, I don't like that burrito. But when you communicate the truth in love, I guarantee you nobody got saved on that street corner that day. Like people were like, oh yes, this is what I was looking for. Like nobody. Because it is the kindness of God that leads people to repentance. Sometimes a statement might be true, but it's not delivered in love. And the same in your peace conference, the same when you want to resolve a conflict. It's not just what you say, but how you say it and why you say it. For example, a Bible verse, Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. How you say it matters, right? I could preach to you and say, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. You're sinners. All of you nasty sinners. So, it's not completely untrue, okay? But how's this? How's this? Guys, every one of us has messed up. And God's love is there to cover us and to forgive us no matter what we've done. That's his grace and his mercy. We've all messed up. We've all sinned bad. We all fall short. But his love lifts us up. He saves us. He forgives us. He redeems us. And he restores us. Now, doesn't that burrito taste better? And so if I come into a peace conference to resolve a conflict with you, with a friend, or with my wife, and I'm like, all right, you messed up. I messed up too. I don't care. Shoot. That kind of attitude, kind of like, and there's no love, and it's kind of raspy, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if I want to be at this peace conference. Peace out. How you say it matters. How you say it matters. This is the difference between emotional maturity and emotional immaturity. One is wrapped in love, one is not. Number 6, last one. Focus on reconciliation, not necessarily resolution. There's a difference between the two. Reconciliation means we reestablish the relationship and we are at peace. Resolution means we've resolved every disagreement. Now we're on the same page about everything and we agree on everything, which isn't always possible. When there's emotional maturity, we can learn to disagree and yet maintain relationship in peace. There's room for differentiation. We talked about that week 2 of this series. You don't have to agree on every single thing in order to be at peace with each other. You don't have to see eye to eye in order to walk hand in hand. And so, you do your part, and you pray, and you trust, and you release the other person in God's hands. The truth is, we all have conflicts. Some of them are a little easier for us to approach depending on who it is and the size of the conflict and what exactly it is. However, what you and I can't do is be so concerned with their response, because their response is not in my control, but my response is in my control. And Lord, I want the right heart, because you are a God and you say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I want to be your child, but I don't want to be a false peacemaker. I want to be a true peacemaker. And so I can't wish the other person wrong. Romans 12:17, do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. Check it out, verse 18. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Are you willing to put childish ways behind? Are you willing to mature emotionally and spiritually and relationally? Then you're going to have to let go of the outcome and let God guide you in the process.